you are a business owner, or you manage a team, or you just are out networking. It seems like everybody here, I think we got a couple people that work for a specific company. And then we have some people who are just entrepreneurs doing their own thing, which is something that I do, even though I partner with a couple of businesses like Aflac and WFG. So one of the things that I've learned over the years is I spent 25 years in retail store manager for companies like Walmart and Kohl's. Sorry, that's hard for me to do when we're older and staying focused. But anyway, it's just me.
No, I'm the same way.
Yeah. So for 17 years, I managed teams with Walmart. Was in $100 million stores, managing teams of 500 people, having 12 managers that I managed direct to me, and then teams, under them. And then the last 7, I was with Kohl's, managed the Kohl's out in Spring Hill. If you guys have ever been out in that store, that was the last store that I was in. Last year, just decided that I just wanted to step out and get out of that corporate world and just kind of do some things on my own. And what I was really passionate about was bringing some resources that we had in the corporate world to small business owners and leaders in the community who don't have the same resources at their fingertips to be able to grow their teams or manage people or just get out and do networking and referrals. So this is kind of all based on Break All the Rules, which is something that I love, by Marcus Buckingham, and I just kind of wanted to hit a few of the main points. We'll try to sum it up in 10 minutes best I can. So would you all agree that kind of one of the hardest things about managing these days or growing our business would be just managing people? So whether it's bringing people onto your team or whether it is just out networking and referrals, you don't know who you're meeting or if those people have the same work ethic or passion or what they're going to bring to the table or if that lines up with what you want to do for your business. And it's our job to make sure that we are attracting and keeping the top performers. I'll keep moving on you, so keep you on your toes this morning. So one of the things that this book goes into, and I didn't bring a clicker, but is this Gallup organization went in and did a poll of over 80,000 managers. And more than anything else, one of the things that they found with all of these managers is that most of them break all the rules. So they think outside the box, which is something that we do every day in trying to grow our business as well. So if you're focusing on like social media, let's say marketing and things like that right now, a lot of people are starting to get to that in that zone where social media is starting to become more negative than it is positive. So what are we doing to start thinking outside the box for the next step on our marketing? In this book, he goes into something called the measuring stick, which is 12 questions that you should be asking of your team and of yourself to see where you kind of score on how you manage people and whether or not your team is one that's going to stick around with you. And this can go for building your business as well. What are you doing for your clients every single quarter or twice a year or yearly to keep those people engaged with you and keep their business with you? The first question I wanted to look at was, do I know what is expected of me at work and the why? There's many times where we assume that people that we're working with or people that we're providing services for, we just kind of assume that they kind of know what it's about instead of, like if you're in a networking event like this and you're explaining to people who are out there every single day and they are, in that world of entrepreneurs, and then you sit down with a client and you just expect that client knows what a financial planner does or knows what a commercial banker does or a life coach or whatever it might be, then we can't assume that. We kind of have to break it down for them. And the same thing for our teams and our coworkers. At work, do I have an opportunity to do what I do best every single day? Again, it kind of goes back to, does the person in front of you, or do you have them in the right place to do the best job that they can do every single day? So sometimes we overlook talent as talent's got to be maybe they're the best at selling, or maybe they're the best at networking with people. Whereas the best at something could be just simply remembering names and faces. So are you really looking at what that person in front of you is the best at, and do you have them in the right place for that? Does the mission and purpose of my company make me feel my work is important? So understanding why their work is important and how it contributes to the success of the team. And the last one of the 12 questions I wanted to touch was, in the last 6 months, have I talked to someone about my progress? Are we following up? Again, this can be for clients as well. Are we following up? Are we checking in, making sure that they're happy with the services we're providing? Or from a team standpoint, are we giving constructive criticism? Are we putting them back on we see an eye to eye, putting them back on the same page to meet the goals that we've set? In that are 4 keys. 4 keys that help unlock the potential of each and every one of your employees. Be talent, defining the right outcomes, focusing on strengths, and finding the right fit. Yeah, it's okay. I should have brought a clicker. So the first key is selecting for talent. Their talent can be, like I said, simply the ability to remember the name that goes with the face, or the ability to solve complex puzzles. Great managers understand that every role performed with excellence requires talent, because every role requires certain recurring patterns of thoughts, feelings, or behavior. So kind of put down here the 3 kinds of talent. Striving, just explaining the why of a person. Does he or she want to stand out? Or is good enough good enough? Thinking, explaining the how of a person. Does he or she think, straight, or does he strategize with what if games? Structured, or do they love surprises? And relating, explains the who of a person. Who does that person trust? Who does he or she build relationships with? And do they love confrontation, or do they avoid it? Does anybody here know somebody that loves confrontation?
I do.
Not me.
I don't love confrontation, but I've never run from it. And I guess when you're managing teams, you kind of have to go full force into that and just deal with the problems in front of you. But there are a lot of people out there that like to avoid confrontation altogether. And really, unless that goes back to, just knowing what somebody in front of you is capable of doing. Because if you have somebody on your team that can handle adversity, because you're going to have that with your customers as well. And if you've got somebody that's able to do that well, then that's the person that needs to be in that position to do that. So the second key is defining the right outcomes. The best way for me to describe this key is just to put it in terms of like a soccer field. Just knowing what each person does, explaining that to them, and then getting off the field. So if you're on you've got players, you explain to your players what the expectation is, you explain to them what their role is, you're a forward or you're on defense or whatever it might be. And then as a coach, we have to kind of step off, and they know the boundaries and the rules of the game, and we have to step back and let them do their thing and do what they do best. The third key is focusing on strengths, positioning each person so you're paying them to do what they're naturally wired to do, managing by exception, just treating everybody as a unique individual. Third is, and this is probably the one that hit me the most, and as I was going through my years of management, kind of falling on my face here and there, spending time with your key producers. Many times we want to spend time with our people who are struggling, and that's where we want to spend the majority of our time. But then your key producers feel like they're getting left behind, and like their work is no longer valued, and it's no longer important to you. Because, in the business world, we all know we want the people who are teaching us and guiding us to want to spend that time with us. And if they're not, I've seen productivity and success just sometimes completely stop if you're not engaged with those people. The fourth key is just finding the right fit, making sure that your employees are in roles that fit, just to create the greatest chance for success. So to sum it up, just 4 things: keep it simple, keep interaction frequent, focusing on the future, and then self-tracking. Just making sure that, going back and visiting with those people and making sure that you're on the same page and giving the criticism or rewarding the good behaviors. 2 quotes real quick. I had a chance recently to meet Deanna Marchand. I always say her name wrong. I was saying Marchionda, but that's not how you say it apparently. So, and she is one of the leading ladies in our company and started with WFG and Transamerica at 22 years old and is still going and is phenomenal. And this quote that she has really hit me. Live life with honesty, integrity, generosity, and discipline in all that you do, all that you say, and whom you surround yourself with. I don't know that I've ever read a more true statement. And then, of course, since I like to break the rules occasionally, know the rules well so you can break them effectively. Right? I thank you for your time. Thank you, Laurie, for allowing me to do this. Maybe I'll bring my own coffee or cough drops next time so I can speak. And thank you, guys.